Excellency, Minister, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to divide my short presentation into two parts. One is dedicated to greening the ICT itself and another greening with help of ICT. When we look broader to the global economy right now, then knowledge and technology intensive industries are already 1/3 of the global economy on a worldwide scale. Out of that knowledge and technology intensive economy, raising part is based on information and communication technologies. ICT market itself is out of the global economy right now almost getting closer to 8%. It very recently in terms of 15, 18 years ago was only 3% of the global economy. And we see right now the way how specific areas within the ICT sector itself are having a very dynamic move. When we talk about an industry which is close to 8% of global economy, we need to look into the details of that, the specifics of that, and often it's shared into two parts. First of all, the manufacturing part of the semiconductors and technology, and second part related to the services and communications and communication industry. When both of those areas are impacting, first of all, themselves, IT was most significant tool or platform for developing further the communication technologies, which we don't realize nowadays compared to analog communication infrastructure. Just recently, 15, 20 years ago, then the ICT together are transforming further and further industries around the world. One of the first ones which have been described as the industry impacted by ICT was biotechnology. After that, of course, industry, manufacturing, financial services, public services, health services, and so on and so on. What we also have witnessed is that vast majority of the transformations and impact from ICT are not so much tied into the present level of ICT capabilities, but to the particular sectors' ability to absorb the innovation enabled by information and communication technologies. We see extremely traditional approaches from some industries which are very careful to adopt new innovations, and we see some areas which are flourishing after utilizing the true opportunities of ICTs. I think we all have been going through our personal experiences with deploying IT in private life, at home, at businesses, or being in contact using services of organizations who are struggling to use IT solutions. In some countries, in some sectors, they are moving faster, some areas slower. And we see also the reflections of ICT success stories. In most areas, the labor productivity has been increasing, and labor productivity increased caused by ICT use has been one of the most significant players in the area. I would like, before entering to the slides and discussion about greening ICT itself, to take back myself in my memories to our home first Green IT application, and that was my son making his first laptop computer. I think it dates back to year 2000. And besides laptop computer, he was very keen in mobile communication, and you can see also next to him his first mobile phone, which he was very happy to use, and there is a special button called police. So it's an entirely green IT application. Everything is reusable. everything is made on-site at home without using any means of further transportation, and everything is made out of the local facilities, including also the full application of the IT itself. Now, when we enter to the greening of ICT area, it's one very important aspect to think when the industry itself is already 8% of global economy. We see its footprint also on environment. There is a not hidden coin on the ICT, but it's very visible to all of us. For many companies, it's visible within the corridors where the old computers are just hanging out. For many of us, it's at homes. For many of us, it's in the dumps. And ICT production itself has become also a topic of a number of environmentally very, very sensitive issues. We are using tantalum, tin, gold, and other precious metals, in many cases smuggled from African countries to the production market without any control about the quality or the true production value chain control. In most cases, we know and recognize Democratic Republic of Congo only with the fact how in this room at least 30% of users are using the raw materials coming from the smuggled or unregulated mining fields from the Democratic Republic of Congo. That's an area where a lot of new attention is paid on the global scene, and making ICT not only green, but also laying down the new moral grounds for the production is a really increasing issue where a number of industries are seeking also the solutions. The carbon dioxide emissions of ICT sector itself are becoming 3 times higher in 10 years' time, when in 2010 the estimated footprint of ICT sector was around 500 million tons. It's about to triple in a decade, making it one of the most significant players in not only the trading of the emissions, but also having a control over the emissions. And the new term has evolved into the waste market called e-waste. The computers, peripherals, cables, everything which we have been using, producing, is returning back to the dumpster without applying true recycling opportunities on that. The global map of the e-waste is something to learn a lot, and when we think about the opportunities for the global market, also perhaps Green ICT and greening ICT programs could have a great position and momentum to address those issues. How to build up the better transparency, control the ways how we really reuse and recycle materials, raw materials, products, processing power, how we control the heat, how we control the energy use of the ICT product. And that's what we can do as an ICT specialist and experts for ICT industry itself. But now to the greening with ICT area, and that's a very interesting part. When I mentioned in the beginning of my presentation that ICT is the biggest contributor to the labor productivity increase on the global scene, that's so true mostly about developed countries. The top OECD countries are enjoying vast majority of the benefits of ICT infrastructure. However, the shift is right now happening. with 4 billion mobile subscribers out there, transforming within 2 years from the plain old call-enabling mobile phones to smartphones. It is a new era also for the applications, services, and ICT impact-related markets. Greening with ICT has become an area which, within the IT services field, is growing 3 times faster than IT market itself. In UK, the Green ICT market itself is considered to become a £6 billion industry by year 2020, and the recent analysis says already that it's most probably going to outperform the present estimates, and it's becoming even bigger market, including also a number of global applications. So what's so good about it? I think we can also turn our vision back to the history. When in the late 19th century, Estonian schoolboy invented a bicycle. Well, he did not really invent a bicycle, but he was a very innovative, entrepreneurial young man making his first bicycle, which forms really a standard of the splendid, high-quality bicycle is it's a failure. It's not really a performance bike from the bike revolution. However, that young man, in my mind, is a truly remarkable showcase for entrepreneurial and innovation application behavior. You had not only just idea of making a bicycle, but you implemented, you made that bicycle, which is the biggest gain any innovator can have, to make idea into reality, to have an idea, to seize opportunity, and to make it happen. The experience you get from making and sometimes failing is building the true ground for the further innovations and for further explorations on the field of entrepreneurship. So I salute very much that young man's actions, which took place so much time ago, and would like to call us to act, in a sense, in the field of greening with the help of ICT in a similar way, to seize opportunities and believe historians in 100 years will look to our attempts to start with Green ICT in the same way as we look to that young man right now who is very proudly showing his production of the bicycle factory model #1 beta version. We need to start from somewhere, and starting includes also the picture on the landscape. So often innovation has been considered a very linear process, starting from research, science-based applications, and so often, and too often, the output, the end result is dedicated and related to product, something we can use, something which is in qualitative terms better product than the earlier generation of the similar products. However, the innovation landscape is much broader, and especially when we think about economically and environmentally sustainable business models and applications of IT, we are able to broaden our picture around the use of ICT. It does not include only products, but it includes also innovation around the services we provide. The service industry has not only compared to the manufacturing and production not very clear process control standards applied by the regulator, but it's also a huge employer. So the footprint, unknown environmental footprint of service industry and the opportunities hidden within the service industry application and modernization are even bigger ones than in manufacturing and production industry. The second part, so often misguided and not considered as an innovation, is a process cycle. The process of doing the same thing, of providing the same service, but providing it in a different way, can be also a very strong innovation. The way how the digital radiology has changed the global health services market in not only from the environmental perspective by no longer having films and pictures which radiologists look on the screens, but it has turned in the era of digital radiology into computer screens. It also has made a big change in the process of that service. When radiologist with a certain expertise is accessible over the internet, he or she should not or needs not be no longer in a particular hospital, but can be whenever, wherever available with a particular expertise. The second opinions to be taken for the digital radiology services are way easier to see compared to the earlier ages where the so-called analog radiology was utilized and used. And it's exactly the same service which we get, but the process is built up on the different way using lots of ICT. We have in many cases underestimated the importance of the values in society and the way how people consider what is important and what they like, what they don't. We know the keywords of local food, biofood, green, so much that it's sometimes already a trend for greenwashing or bio-washing or local washing and actually a global production cycle, and it only reflects the values which people have. So in order to be truly local, bio and green, you need also to address the services or production behind that. It is a trend which needs to be taken into account, and more there are also ways how to address those demands. The printing on demand, not printing on the huge piles, to be ready for the sake of maybe people want some materials, is clearly addressing not just a business process but also the demand of the customers. Those service providers or product providers which also integrate recycling into their business model are much more welcome to the market compared to the I don't care about what happens with my product later on businesses. So you need to keep in mind the increase also of the green-minded society and the values what society gets. Information society is transparent. It's a well-known truth that you can lie everybody once or to one person a long time, but you can't lie everybody all the time. They will find out sooner or later. And the way how companies, enterprises, organizations are building up their processes and also reflecting the values important for society need to be embedded into the core of the company. So greening is not the topic of an environmental officer of a company, nor Green IT is a topic of IT department, but it needs to be embedded into the core strategy of the company, which brings in also the additional services field, the consultancy, advisory and management services into the Green ICT. And finally, positioning, it's also the way how we behave and the way how we address and to which target groups we address our services and products. Increasing part of the community are considering very important that they find custom, tailor-made and positioned for them services, products, or services, products which are designed with a business process in the way how they would like to have it, suitable for them. Those all are the sources for the new ideas and innovation, and in the Green ICT or greening with the help of ICT, IT can play a good beneficiary platform for those. And I have small couple of examples of the way how we can think when building up our new products and services, think open, act with a very focused approach on a very narrow approach and deliver it globally in a global market scale. That's a new startup in Estonia. I'm so glad that a couple of my former colleagues from Skype are behind that, who had also an idea to go to a very, very, very specific niche, very small niche, and that small niche is the biggest thing on the planet Earth, which is our water. It's oceans. Marine Explorer is a community tool to explore all the data around the planet Earth oceans, and it might sound as a too ambitious way to address this, but bringing together environmental data, satellite data, sensors, the actual information coming from the vessels, ships, yachts, from the different other applications, from the user-generated data, you have actually in your hands right now the bigger than any government has ever had, data about the planet oceans, planet Earth oceans, dating often back with its time series to 15, 20 years, and which plays a good ground for anybody starting from the offshore windmills or the offshore oil drilling, ending up with hobby yachting over next weekend. Another example about the big data company focusing on a very, very small data is another Estonian startup company, Positium, who is exploring the data we all live when we live in a society. We can say that in 21st century, society and the social demography could be described entirely by cell phones. When everybody has a cell phone in a pocket, we can describe the dynamics of the cell phones better than any statistics can make it. And that's a small example now about the post-mortem analysis on one fire which took place in Estonia, in Estonian forest, but could be applied actually to any environmental application, social application, about the migration of people within the country. We know almost within the number of 5 people accuracy, how many people are daily commuting from small city Rapla to Tallinn to work, and what time they get back, on what means of transport, how much it takes for them to get home, and do they stop over for shopping in supermarket in Tallinn on their way or in their own city of Rapla. So large forest fire in Estonia. Where are people in the same time in Estonia? We can see it from the heat map of the mobile phones, and when zooming in, we see how many people are currently in the danger zone of the forest fire. We see that there were at the moment of the fire 889 phones, which means actually in a 21st century context, phones are not hanging around by themselves. It was people actually. It was in the danger zone. And we see that it was 5.4% of them were foreigners, 54% were people who reside in that area, which means the mobile phones are sleeping during the night very often in that territory. The place where mobile phones tend to stay overnight is actually the place where you live, correct? And we can also analyze, based on the time series, what is a dynamic of mobile phones, or actually people within that danger zone. Is it going to peak? Who are the people coming there? Are they transiting? Are they getting home from the office hours? Are they getting just passing by? Are they tourists? And we can see where are currently the people who live in that danger area. We can inform them, we know where to build potential roadblocks or information about the danger and warn them about. And we can zoom further and where are currently people who live in the danger area and see, because it was a regular office day, many people, vast majority were in Tallinn, but quite a number of them were in Tartu area, 6% almost were in Hiiumaa Island, 15% in Haapsalu city, which is the second biggest employer for the people in that area. That data is in hands of us without building additional extra sensors or extra layers of databases. It's the smart way of applying to the existing databases and big data available in our hands. This data cannot be used to dig into the privacy of individuals, because this data is not individualized, but is built on the pseudonyms which can't be connected to the individuals themselves and can be accessed only by regulated authorities, which also act based on the privacy regulations and need to take account of that. However, those are the applications which applied also to environment and applied to transport, logistics, can give us a new additional value, and reusing the same data for different purposes, for smart purposes, is also recycling. Recycling the data, bits, zeros and ones, is also a recycling and green topic of environment. So my concluding remarks are, once again, we need to think open, broaden up the sphere of innovation from linear innovation model into the broader area. We need to have a concrete niche and focus which is applicable, and especially in the field of Green ICT, it is applicable on a global market. And finally, find a way, find the partners to deliver it globally and enjoy the fastest growing segment of the IT industry and the productivity growth area, which is green applications of IT all over the different sphere of society. Thank you so much.